Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Here's Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. Cuba begins clinical trial on COVID-19 vaccine for children. This story takes the lead in our 1138th edition of Caribbean Perspective for Tuesday, 22nd June 2021. Details after this break.
Hubbard's big promotion is back. Live free for 1 year. Spend $50 or more in any Hubbard's department and receive a chance to win big prizes every month. Property or vehicle insurance for 1 year. Free internet, cable and data for 1 year. Free fuel for 1 year. Free cooking gas for 1 year. Free electricity for 1 year. Free drinks for 1 year. Extra cash account and the big free groceries for 1 year. Promotion runs from April 1st to September 30th, 2021. Live free for 1 year with Hubbard's in association with Solgas, Flow, Grenadian General Insurance, Carib Brewery, Coca-Cola, Grenada Bottling Company, Grenlec, Communal Cooperative Credit Union, Dutch Lady Milk, Promo, Danny and Supreme. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back. The head of the Center of State Control of Medicines, Equipment and Medical Devices, SECMED, says a clinical trial on a COVID-19 vaccination for children is currently underway and is progressing satisfactorily in Cuba. Accordingly, Dr. Maybe de la Seriedad Rodriguez Gonzalez, the first anti-COVID-19 research in children and adolescents, complied with a rigorous approval process 7 weeks after the dossier was submitted to the regulatory authority. On June 14th, during the application of the first dose, they had the first sanitary inspection by SECMED. The Soberana Pediatrics clinical trial includes in its first and second phase children and adolescents between 3 and 18 years of age, healthy and of Cuban nationality. 50 volunteers were included in the first stage and 300 in the second. The health authority said the study would be carried out sequentially. After the first week of immunization, blood tests will be performed to determine the safety of the product, to request the approval of SECMED with a view to continue with the group from 3 to 11 years of age and to continue towards phase 2 with a greater number of adolescents. The first stage of the research will be carried out at the Juan Manuel Marquez Pediatric Hospital, and later the trial will be extended to the health areas of the municipalities of Playa, Marianao and La Lisa, said Rodriguez Gonzalez. A senior official of the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, said on Wednesday that members of the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, OECS, facing financial constraints will have to pre-prioritize their spending and rely on concessional borrowing to support their needs related to the coronavirus COVID-19. Addressing the viral fifth sitting of the OECS Assembly, the Deputy Director of the IMF's Western Hemisphere Department, Dr. Nigel Chalk, said he was also indicating that given the large economies of scale, regional collaboration is essential to ensure sufficient vaccine supply and distribution in the sub-region. Chalk noted that a careful rebalance of micro-policies will be needed to ensure sustainable growth as the economies recover. The IMF official told government and opposition legislators in Antigua and Barbuda, Dominica, Grenada, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, St. Kitts and Nevis, Montserrat, Anguilla and the British Virgin Islands, as well as the French islands of Martinique and Guadeloupe, that a recently published IMF report on the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union, ECCU, a number of policies had been recommended for the sub-region to tackle the crisis. There is a need to maintain fiscal support in the near term and shift resources to critical COVID-related spending, he said. There is a need to strengthen regional and national frameworks to safeguard the viability of the region. Chalk said the capacity of the financial institutions to weather the pandemic must be strengthened and comprehensive crisis management plans put in place in case things go awry. A prominent human rights advocate and attorney in St. Lucia, Mary Francis, is not happy with the news of the partial Leahy law sanctions relief for the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. More in this HTS News Force report with Stanley Lucian.
Mary Frances has been resolute in her call for accountability for police actions that resulted in the deaths of 12 people during Operation Restore Confidence in 2011. Hers is one voice that will not join the choir welcoming the latest decision by the U.S. State Department to relax some aspects of sanctions against the police.
The police forces, they are able to get their training needs met, so be it. But I think it saddens me that there will be, things will just end like that. There's no justice for the family members of those persons. It would seem, because, as I said, the right to bring a civil action has been prescribed by time.
The human rights advocate says the current and past administrations have played, quote, political football with impacts, unquote, and questions the timing of the decision by the U.S. State Department to relax the sanctions against the police. Francis says the families of those killed need proper resolution.
It was unprecedented. 12 persons killed, unprecedented in our history. And in May 20, that was the bloodiest day in St. Lucia in terms of police killings. 5 in one night, just knocked out like that. So I am still concerned about that.
Francis says the administration has been concerned with sanctions against the police while indifferent to the lives lost during Operation Restore Confidence.
I have never heard government speak in terms of trying to speak about the human rights issue, the right to life and the duty of the state to protect life. And that is my main concern, that the persons have lost their lives, those people have been killed, and the state has to account ultimately for their lives. The right to life is the most important human right. I do not know that those people, especially the first 5 who were killed, I do not know that they were convicted persons or that they were charged. And in any case, the duty of the police and the executive, separation of powers, executive and the judiciary. The duty of the police was to arrest and take them before a court of law.
Mary Frances is calling on the Director of Public Prosecutions to break his silence on the matter.
The verdict ended in 2016, and the DPP has the record of that inquest which was held. So the DPP should have by now made a statement to the citizens of this country, despite the fact that his institution is independent. To make a statement does not mean we are calling upon him. There have been calls, there have been concerns expressed about his quietness on the situation of prosecution. He has made no effort to address the issue to the public, at least, because he's been paid by the public. The public has a vested interest in the justice system to ensure it works. They are paying for it, so the results must be to the benefit of the society. So whether he hasn't got sufficient evidence, nobody knows. He has all the information. And even at this stage, I'm calling on him to say something, because the state cannot get away from this situation of its duty to account. It has to be accountability for the lives, accountable for the lives that were lost. It is very important because, as I said, the state is the one that must protect human rights. And the most important is life.
The human rights advocate is calling out the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions for what she says is the foot dragging on prosecuting those suspected of involvement in the extrajudicial killings during Operation Restore Confidence in 2011. Francis threatens to take St. Lucia to the International Court for Human Rights for its lack of accountability for the lives lost at the hands of the police. Stanley Lucien for the HTS News Force.
The hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick.
In other news, Energy Minister in Trinidad and Tobago, Stuart Young, says he has no problem meeting with the OWTU President General Ansel Roger and says Patriotic Energies and Technologies can still bid to take over the Pointe-à-Pierre refinery. TV6's Alicia Boucher has the details.
Energy Minister Stuart Young today responded to a statement made by OWTU President General Ansel Roger on Labor Day. Speaking on Saturday as president of the Joint Trade Union Movement, JTUM, Roger complained that Young would not meet with him since taking over the energy portfolio following the death of Franklin Cann. Roger announced at a wreath-laying ceremony at the graveside of former trade union leader Tubal Uriah Buzz Butler that Patriotic Energies and Technologies Limited, which is owned by the Oilfields Workers Trade Union, had submitted another bid for the Pointe-à-Pierre oil refinery. Patriotic has submitted 3 failed bids so far for the takeover of the assets of the former Petrotrin refinery, which is to be put back on the open market. Roger said following the appointment of Young as energy minister, he had refused to meet with the OWTU and did not respond to another proposal by Patriotic for the refinery. However, the energy minister tells TV6, quote, I had indicated that I would meet with OWTU, Ansel Roger, and members. I have no difficulty in doing so, unquote. With respect to any new proposal from Patriotic for the refinery, the minister says, quote, I am not familiar with any such proposal. However, I expect that very shortly Trinidad Petroleum Holdings Limited will issue a request for proposals to restart the refinery, unquote. Minister Young says Patriotic would be able to send any proposal that it has into that process, further stating, quote, the RFP is imminent, and we look forward to receiving any useful proposals to restart the refinery, unquote. Alicia Boucher, TV6 News.
Over in Belize, members of the United Democratic Party, UDP, turn in a petition seeking to recall Patrick Faber as its leader.
In what can be described as a historic move in the rank and file of the United Democratic Party, members kicked off the move to oust their party leader. And it played out in simple form. 2 members of the UDP, who have both failed to win an election, arrived at the UDP headquarters at 3 this afternoon. In his hands, Tony Herrera held a folder which contained a document with signatures from members of the United Democratic Party who want Patrick Faber gone as their leader. Herrera, accompanied by UDP's standard bearer for Port Loyola, Philip Willoughby, went inside the UDP secretariat on the lower flat to submit those signatures. He emerged a few minutes later.
Today we brought in the recall petition. I must inform you that the recall petition was, the Constitution called for 172. We got 290 signatures from 26 different constituencies here. And this is mainly to recall the party leader of our party.
Herrera says that getting more than the required number of signatures is a clear indication that those within the party don't want Faber to lead them. And among them are 3 members of the House: Corozal North's Ugo Pat, Mesopotamia's Shine Barrow, and Queen Square's Denise Barrow.
This is a resounding answer from the delegates. This is the rank and file of the party. So for us to go over 172 means a lot for us and also for the party. It sends a clear message to where we want to go. This is 290 that signed freely. This was not secret ballots of anything. This was a freely and fast. This was, we went out there, we got the signatures and brought them back. This was 26 constituencies. In these 26 constituencies, we have 3 parliamentarian constituencies, which is rightfully said Corozal North, Queen Square, and Mesopotamia. And that's very important.
But to get Faber out through a national convention, they need an additional 65 delegates to support this petition. But Herrera and his group are hoping that Faber will take the high road and step aside based on these 290 signatures.
We are more than sure that we can pass that 355 when crunch time comes along and we have to go to a convention.
But you all don't seriously want to do that. What you all would prefer is that Mr. Faber would see these 290 signatures and send in his resignation. That's what you all want.
Exactly. That is what we would like, to end this thing in peaceful way and an amicable way, and we can continue doing the party business that we need to rebuild this party.
But if Faber leaves, then who will lead the UDP? Herrera was tight-lipped on that subject, but hinted that they may have someone in mind.
We'll take it one step at a time. When the Vatican is looking for a pope, when the Vatican is looking for a pope, you see the white smoke, right? We'll have that. You don't worry about that.
What kind of end game are you all looking at?
Don't worry about that, Jules. I say we'll take it one step at a time. We'll have that when the time comes. We'll have that for you guys. But we do have someone in mind.
So why do some of the UDPs want to recall Faber? It started shortly after the release of a video where Faber is seen engaged in a domestic dispute. He later apologized, but ever since then, members of his party have been taking move against him, and it has since caught on. But what did he do so wrong that could see his party members make a move against him?
We are not here to expose everything. We're trying to handle everything internally as best as we can. But it's like what the 290 is resounding. Obviously there's something wrong, and I'm not here to disclose what is wrong. One thing I can say is that we are not happy in the way he's leading. He's not fit to lead, and that is the bottom line.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.